Hey guys, we're going to go over another digital art tool today. And this one is all about one of Mr. Galloway's favorite styles of art, pixel art. I'm just kidding. So if you go to www.pixelartart.com and you hit enter, you're going to get a page that looks like this. Now, there's lots of things you can do, but for right now, we're just going to go to Start Drawing. So if you click this little blue button right here, it's going to start the Pixelable app. And if this comes up, you can hit New Drawing, and that's fine. It will ask you how big you want it. I'm just going to leave the default up and hit New Drawing. Okay. And you're going to get this thing. Now, the problem with pixelart.com is it has little ads sometimes, so we can just close all that junk out. But this is a pretty cool tool. This is your main screen, and these are your tools, your little toolbar. If you've ever used a computer art program, it's very similar to ones you may have used before. And over here are your colors. And this is handy over here. This is the zoom in and out, which we'll talk about in a second. So basically, the tools we're going to use the most right now, I'm going to show you 4 tools today. The first one is the pencil tool. If you click that, then you can see I'm hovering my little mouse around, and this little dot, this little grayed dot is kind of chasing it like a tail. If I zoom in, you can see it even closer. You see what I mean? But with the pencil tool, you're basically just placing pixels down, which is kind of handy because when you're placing pixels down, you can start to draw some sort of thing on your paper. I'll give him a little smirk. And it's kind of handy. So you can do that. You can change up your colors. You probably can't see this right now, but I'm doing white. You can't see it because it's over this transparent layer. But you can kind of start doing that sort of thing with the colors and the pencil tool. If you want to change the size of your pencil tool, that's this little slider here. You can make them bigger or smaller. Now you have another handy tool at the top, this undo button. If you ever do something you don't like, you can click undo and it'll take you backward in time and undo the last thing you did. So I kind of just drew this silly little face, and you can go in and if you have a touch screen on your computer, you can also just use your hand and draw, which is kind of cool. So that's the pencil tool, which is really nice. The next one is the eraser tool, which, as you guessed, will erase. Simple enough. Pencil tool, eraser tool. So the eraser tool over here, this little pink eraser, you can use to erase. Another ad, get thee gone. And the next is something that's called the bucket tool, which is right here, the paint bucket tool. This is super handy because when you use the paint bucket tool, it will fill in a color inside a shape, so you don't have to go in and color it in. So let's say I wanted to make a classic yellow smiley face. I can go in here and just click somewhere inside this shape, and it's going to fill it in with a color, which is kind of cool. I know I drew the most basic thing imaginable here, but you get the idea. Now, the bucket tool is super handy, but you have to be careful with it because if there is a hole in your shape, dink, so I left a little hole out right here. See, if there's a hole in your shape and you try to fill it in with the bucket tool, it's going to spill out of the hole and fill in the entire screen with that color, which may not be what you want to happen. If you imagine someone punching a hole in the bottom of a bucket and filling it with water, as you see, the paint or the water will spill out everywhere. So you can't have that happen. No. So that is the paint bucket tool, which is pretty handy. I'm going to hit undo 3 times. Oh, well, okay. Maybe not. So I'm going to fill that back in with a little yellow face like so. Now, the final tool we're going to be playing around with is one I really like. It's kind of cool. It's the paintbrush tool. And what it does, instead of these hard lined pixels like the pencil tool does, it does a more soft approach at pixels. So it kind of has this um, different transparencies that go over each other that gives it a more smooth look, which is really cool because you can do some neat effects that way. So, if you wanted to try out the paintbrush tool, it's a really neat way to kind of put down some colors that, like if you're doing a background or a sky or an ocean or anything like that, you can do some really cool effects with it, like so. So that's the paintbrush tool. Now, there are a bunch of other tools. There's a text tool if you want to write. There's a dithering tool, which is kind of interesting. It does, it kind of colors in every other pixel if you want to do some shading. There's a stamp tool, which is fun because you can take one of these pre-designed um, pixel stamp things and kind of put it on what you're already making, which is kind of handy. That's cool and all, but I want you to kind of make your own thing. But if you wanted to add a stamp or two, I'm fine with that. But you could just try out some of this stuff. There's shape tools and stuff. If you've used an art program before, you kind of get a general idea of how all this stuff works. This one's kind of handy. This is like a shading tool. It kind of puts like shadows in to make your art look a little more interesting by shifting the color a little bit. See how that gives it a slight little 3D edge, which is kind of handy. So you can start out with something as simple as I did with the smiley face and actually start to make it look pretty interesting as you go. So I want you today to play around with pixelart.com. This could be another choice you can use in the future with some of our virtual art, or if you just want to make some rad video game characters. Um, oh yeah, feel free to. But you can do some really cool stuff with it just by using some of these pixely tools. You can try to recreate some of your favorite pixel art already, which is a good way to practice. Or you could make something new. So I'm going to let you explore this app a little bit today, get a good feel for it. If you make a piece of art you like and you want to save it, just go to the top up here and click that download button, and it will add the picture to your computer. I would love to see anything you guys create. So feel free to post it on Google Classroom so Mr. Galloway can see your excellent hard work. And yeah, I hope you have fun with it. I can't wait to see some of the pixely creations you do. We are probably going to be doing a pixel project coming up, but I wanted to give you another option for your comic creation as well, because this could be a cool thing to use for that. So anyway, have fun, guys. See what you can do, and I will see you next week. Bye. Sorry. I'm so sorry.